Thanks for watching THV 11 News at noon on this Monday. I'm Michael Aaron. Meteorologist Nathan Scott over in the Weather Center. Hey, it's shaping up to be a really nice afternoon, huh?
Good Monday afternoon, Michael. Yeah, we start off this morning into the 20s and 30s, and we have bounced up into the upper 50s, even some 60s showing up. 64 is the current temperature at Little Rock, 62 in Pine Bluff. Got plenty of sunshine through most of central Arkansas, but there are some clouds moving in from the south and southwest. No rain associated with that cloud cover here in the natural state, but the rain is moving through Texas and Louisiana. It may clip you folks in South Arkansas as far north as Camden and Monticello, but the rest of us, we will stay dry. Look at your highs today, topping out into possibly the upper 60s. Little Rock, Conway, also Lonoke, much cooler down into South Arkansas because of that cloud cover. But don't get used to this warmer weather. Weather whiplash is on the way. Highs today, upper 60s. Cold front moves in tonight, and look what happens Wednesday morning. Ooh, it's going to feel like the teens. I'll have more on that situation coming up.
COVID cases continue to climb as the Omicron variant spreads here in Arkansas and across the U.S. But we're starting to see what looks like the beginning of some good news, hopefully. After reporting the smallest increase in hospitalization since Christmas on Saturday, we actually saw that number drop for the first time in 2022 yesterday. Right now, there are 1,600 Arkansans hospitalized with COVID. While our active cases are now more than 100,000, we actually saw that number drop as well on Sunday. What happens when those who work to help others need a little help of their own? When the Salvation Army of Hot Springs was short-staffed due to a COVID outbreak, new faces came in to help out. THV 11's Ian Russell has the story.
COVID ran rampant throughout the staff of the Salvation Army of Hot Springs, leaving a majority of those employees at home sick. But they've got a mission to do, and they weren't going to let the virus stop them from doing just that.
Chaos. Just pure chaos.
The past couple of weeks haven't been easy for Captain Brian Brindley.
Even though this week we weren't able to run our social services, we still had to do basic needs.
COVID-19 hasn't spared the staff of the Hot Springs Salvation Army. For an organization that vulnerable populations rely on, that's not good.
Which has affected us, but most of our work is actually hands-on. And so we don't have the affordability of being able to work from home, but having you come down here and serve people.
And you obviously can't work from home and still keep things like the diner and thrift shop open. With as many people out as they had.
It's comprised of 10 employees, 9 of which have had the COVID at one point or another in the last 2 weeks.
Others had to step in to make sure things kept going, including Captain Brindley.
I ended up working in the Red Shield Diner and social services in every department in this building in the last 2 weeks. I'll tell you, my wife and I were just exhausted.
He can look back and laugh now because their staff is coming back from COVID. But even though the situation was tough for him and the rest of the staff not infected, he says there was no way they'd let things shut down. Helping others, especially with how cold it's been, was too important.
Because actually, that's what we're trying to do, is learn people's names. Not just to see a face and throw food out of a window, but learn who people are, learn their life story, and be able to walk alongside them in a life journey.
Now, as for what's next, they say they'll be back to full staff and able to help as many people as possible again coming up on Monday. In Hot Springs, Ian Russell, THV 11 News.
And by Monday, he means today. Captain Brindley says he's just thankful this didn't happen over the holidays when they were their busiest, of course, with the Red Kettle campaign and also the Angel Tree. The U.S. is seeing about 700,000 new COVID infections each and every day. That's actually down significantly from record-breaking numbers during the Omicron surge. Cases in parts of the Northeast are showing signs of leveling off, but some regions are still seeing rising numbers.
You're seeing cases come down very rapidly in the East Coast, the states that were the early outbreak states, Florida, the Mid-Atlantic, New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles. This virus is spreading to the Midwest. You're seeing cases pick up in states like Montana, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Wyoming, Idaho. So it's not done yet.
Dr. Anthony Fauci says COVID should eventually become the type of respiratory infection people have come to live with pre-pandemic, but he adds that the U.S. has to be prepared for the possibility of another highly infectious variant that could come along. Attorneys in the upcoming trial of Michael Davis met with the judge today to give an update on their cases. Davis is the former Lonoke County deputy accused of shooting and killing an unarmed teenager. He is charged with felony manslaughter in the death of 17-year-old Hunter Britton. Davis's attorney tells THV 11 that today's status hearing focused on how both sides are moving along and gave them a chance to file any motions. We've reached out to the prosecuting attorney and Britton's family for more on today's hearing. Right now, the next pretrial hearing is set for March 14th, with the trial starting the following day, March 15th. Former reality TV star Josh Duggar has now asked a federal judge for a new trial or an acquittal. He was convicted in Northwest Arkansas last month of receiving and possessing child pornography. In a court filing, Duggar's attorneys argued that prosecutors failed to present specific evidence in the case. Tensions remain high in Ukraine, with Russian troops poised to potentially invade. President Biden spent the weekend huddling with his top advisors, weighing options on how to help the U.S. ally. Natalie Brand reports from Washington.
With more than 100,000 Russian troops amassed near the Ukrainian border, CBS News has learned that the Biden administration is considering whether to send several thousand U.S. troops and equipment to reinforce the eastern flank of NATO. But first, NATO nations would have to request the assistance. In Kyiv, the State Department has ordered the families of American diplomats to leave the country. They've advised private U.S. citizens to do the same, along with non-essential American embassy personnel.
Here on Capitol Hill, there's bipartisan support for Ukraine, but some lawmakers are pushing for more immediate action and sanctions to deter Russia from escalating further.
The noose is tightening around Ukraine. President Zelensky, as you mentioned, said he wants the sanctions now. We can always remove the sanctions if it deters Putin's bad behavior.
Along the border in Ukraine, anxious residents are trying to prepare for a possible invasion. Russia insists it has no intention of doing so. Instead, President Putin blames the U.S. and its allies for ratcheting up tensions by arming Ukraine.
What they do is they twist reality. They are always denying, what is quite obvious, in terms of the form of aggression that they're undertaking.
For now, it's a waiting game, with many convinced it's only a matter of time before Russia acts. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Washington.
With tensions rising, NATO is outlining a series of potential troop and ship deployments in the region. The alliance says it will take all necessary measures to protect and defend allies. You can start filing your 2021 tax return starting today. If you're expecting a refund, you should also expect some delays. As of December, the IRS reports a backlog of 6 million unprocessed individual returns, some of those date as far back as April. So how can you avoid holdups this time around? We spoke with Little Rock accountant Jay Gassaway, who you just saw right there, of Garland and Greenwood CPA and Associates. He suggests filing your return early and online. Mailing it in will result in a much longer processing time. Gassaway says you also need to double check all of your information before hitting send.
It's critical when you're preparing your return that you look, you examine all the information on there to make sure that it's complete and accurate. Everything from your name, your social security number, or your tax ID numbers, your address, all your tax forms are on there and reported accurately, things like that.
The expanded child tax credit is another potential pitfall. Most parents only got half of the money that they were owed. The IRS is now sending out letters to help people properly file for the rest. The IRS says most people who do get a refund receive it within 21 days when they file online, and the tax filing deadline is April 18th, so you still have some time. Later today, Governor Asa Hutchinson will approve a grant intended to get kids ready for the workforce. The Be Proud Mobile Workshop Tour provides a hands-on experience with skilled professions while showing the jobs in depth to a live audience using interactive trailer loaded with information, skills, challenges, and more for students. Right now, there's a 2-year wait list of schools that have requested a visit. The $1.4 million grant that will be announced this afternoon at 1:30. It's going to help get a second mobile workshop up and running. We'll have more from today's event tonight at 5 and 6. The Winter Olympics are just days away now, and Beijing officials are sealing the games off in a bubble. We'll show you why after the break, Nathan.
And we've got plenty of sunshine here in central Arkansas, but clouds off in the distance, south and southwest. That system primarily stays down to the south, but we do have some changes in terms of the temperatures. Big changes on the way.